everybody. Chris McDonald back with you on this Tuesday night, the 30th day of May, 2023. We are always glad to have old friends with us. This guy is so old that when he walks by a graveyard, they run after him. Two men run after him with shovels every day. And
Come on, brother. I'm better looking than you. Even though I don't have any hair on my head,
well,
but I'm better looking than you.
I guess what we'll have to do, Caron, we'll have to put this in a contest one night and do the McFiles beauty contest. And I'm going to bring Brad Johnson into this because,
bring it on.
And then we'll do a poll out there and we'll see. We'll just see about that. But anyway, have you stopped flashing your flashlight at that old lady across the street?
I have. Yeah, I've had 911 called on me a few times, and
I've told you not to do that stuff because I've got my I had my flashlight out here in front of me tonight just for you. I found mine that you see. Here it is, right here.
Switched on, baby. Switched on.
Switched on, baby. I got it. I got this.
Switched on life.
Now, the reason I've got to use this is my eyesight's got so bad, I got to do this I got to look down at the book like that every night. So this is coming very handy. I just want you to know that.
There you go.
But anyway, it's good to see you. Eric Caron, everybody. SwitchedOnLife.com. It is a good pleasure. We hadn't had you in a while. You've been on a trip. You told me before the show you just got back from the Congo, correct?
Yeah, it was the Caribbean. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Okay.
Disneyland, not quite, but
not quite.
Yeah, I was in the Congo. I've been to since I last been on the Congo and Tanzania, and it's those are always great trips. They're nice and long, about 25 hours in the tube, and I get to eat some great food, and I get to take a lot of Pepto-Bismol too, and so it's great.
I can always tell when you're lying because your hair gets shiny. It gets shinier. I know that the food comment is not quite. I've been over to Africa one time, and I understand the food situation, and it's all good. Hey, but seriously, I'm glad you're back. I do want to shift gears a little bit, talk some serious stuff. We did not look. Let me get this out of the way. Let's talk about politics.
I've been talking about this for a long time, Chris.
I know.
I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer when I come on your
show. No. I'd rather you tell us the truth than blow smoke up our skirt. I want to ask you, though, I'm going to talk politics with you first, and then we're going to get into this mutilation stuff. Eric, we're both in agreement. The country's in a mess tonight. I don't know what's going to be fixed and what's not going to be fixed over the next 2 years. We got a year and a half of this to deal with. We just do. Elections are a year away. That's a lifetime in politics. I don't doubt that they're probably going to try something. They did it before. They'll do it again. But, and I think you were with me, actually. You and Magdalene and Marie Miller were with us on election night of the midterms, and we thought the Senate would go back to the Republicans. The House barely did. But, it's been the same old, and this left wing of the Democratic Party is really trashing so many institutions. But it's not just the party, it's the administration that's in power tonight, too. I just don't know how much more of this we can take. I just don't. I believe personally, and I'll let you chime in on this, that the only man that's got the gravitas to at least try to fix it, and he would be a lame duck if this happens, is Donald Trump. I'm not saying this to say that Ron DeSantis is a bad person. We got a special guest coming Thursday night that lives in Florida, and we talked to her today, and she was square on about some great things that Governor DeSantis is doing for Florida. I know everybody, I say his name, and everybody just screams and yells and rolls on the floor and spits and rolls over and screams, "Rhino, Rhino, Rhino." Well, Donald Trump ain't perfect either. But DeSantis is not a bad man. I just don't think he's got the gravitas to get us out of this because he's part of the same problem. He's part of that establishment. Trump ain't. And you and I both know, buddy, to fix this mess, it's going to take an overhaul like we've never had. Trump's only got 4 years. So it ain't going to be like he's going to wave a magic wand and fix everything. But that border and this trafficking and pedophilia and these things that you're seeing overseas, that's basically rooted in stuff that's happening here. I don't see anybody else that can do it. I'm just going to let you chime in on that because, buddy, you're a federal agent, man. You used to work in this government, and it starts at the top. It starts at leadership.
Yeah, Chris, you and I have been talking about this for the last few years now, right? And
Yeah.
the Democratic, the radical wing, the progressive wing, if you will, of the Democratic Party will continue to hit this radical drum as loud as they can for the next year and a half or two.
Yeah.
Probably to the day Biden leaves office. To the day Biden leaves office, Elizabeth Warren and others of that progressive wing will do whatever they can to take down America.
They will.
And step on our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights. They will try and they will push the limit until the last day. That is without a question in my mind, based on what I've seen so far. Look what Biden did the very first day he was in office. He signed all those executive orders reversing what Trump did. So yes, the Democratic Party and the progressive wing of the party has hijacked the Democratic Party. They will continue to exploit our First Amendment and our Second Amendment and our Fourth Amendment. No doubt about it. And you're right. I tend to agree. Like him or not, Donald Trump, for the Republican side of the party, of the Republican Party, he's really the answer right now.
I'll agree.
I think that the Democrat Party, the progressive wing of the party, like I said, they're trampling and exploiting our rights and stepping all over our rights, our First and our Second and our Fourth Amendments. That will only, in my opinion, only elevate a Donald J. Trump to become the nominee.
Yes.
Because the American people will be, in the next year plus,
yes,
there's going to be more violence in America, more LGBTQ, more stepping on our rights, all our rights. And the American people, I think, will say Donald Trump is the only person that can truly save this nation.
Totally agree with that. I'm with you there. What's your thoughts on DeSantis, though? I'm just curious. From your angle, what's your thoughts on him?
He's been a career politician. Well, I say career, but he was I don't know his entire history, but he's a senator and governor, and now he wants to be the president. I think he's a decent man, like you mentioned. I just don't think his time is now.
I don't think his time is now either. Do you believe, like some do, that he's being thrown into this race intentionally by the Rhino establishment to basically divide the party, to destroy Trump finally, to get Trump out of the way totally? And is there any thought of what's your feelings about that? Because I don't know if that's true or not, but I do believe that the timing on it sucks to me because, Eric, I believe he would have the full support of both the MAGA and even the establishment community behind him in 2028. If he just set this one out, and even if he would lower his pride, go to Trump and say, move out of my state, go to Wyoming, go to Montana, live somewhere else, I'll be your number two. I'll help you rebuild this thing, and if you'll hand me the reins in 2028, I'll finish what you started. All it would take would be a little bit of humility on his part to do it, and I think people would respect him, and I think we would get behind him 1,000,000%. But what he's doing tonight, Eric, he's destroying a lot of faith in what people have in him already. And look, he's done a great job in Florida. He's done a great job in Florida. And I don't trust him, and I don't trust him. Well, I got news for folks. I don't trust Trump no more than I trust DeSantis. I don't trust any of them. So, this trust issue, show me any politician out there you can totally trust. Eric, even Donald Trump, we can't trust him 100%. We can't trust any of them. But it's just an issue of timing. And I think your point is very well taken, that if he would just have a little humility, sit this one out. But I don't think that he's doing this for even the sake of winning. I think he's been put up to this by the establishment That's just my thought. What's your thoughts on that? Because you were part of that establishment at one time, and you witnessed that firsthand, what the establishment can do to officers and people they don't like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's some credence to what you're saying. I think there are certainly donors and very influential other politicians and media organizations that love this, if you will, infighting. It's great for ratings. It's great for Fox and all the other alphabetical news agencies, if you will, to cover these stories. Yeah, I tend to agree with you that he's not doing the country a good service.
I don't think he is. I'll agree with that.
He's dividing. He continues to divide the party and the country. And right now, the country needs to come together. The Republican Party certainly needs to come together in support of a strong candidate. And so, yeah, I tend to agree with you that he's not doing the country or the party any good. You're right. What would it take to say, listen, I don't know, what is he, 43, 44, 45 years old?
He's got plenty of time, Eric, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. And I do believe, and all these people saying tonight, well, I don't trust him, I don't like him, Ron DeSoros and, Ron the traitor. Well, what are we going to do in 2028? I mean, who are we going to put out there in 2028? And all these Republicans, Eric, I don't care who you got, Carrie Lake, Kristi Noem, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan, all of this bunch, they're neck deep in Washington, D.C. politics. I hate to tell anybody out there, if you think for a second that any of these Republicans are going to wave a magic wand and ride into D.C. on a white horse and solve all your little issues with the deep state, they're not going to do it. They haven't done it in 40 years. They're not going to do it. But we got to get a candidate that can at least try. Trump's a start. We got to get him back in there. But we got to vote. And we got to get out there and we got to do our part. Because a lot of Republicans, this is what I was telling Magdalene Rose. Let me not interrupt you, but I want to say this because I want to get this off my chest tonight. I did a show with Miss Magdalene, the little young lady that you met that night when we did the election thing. And I told her audience, this is the Republican Party to a T. The Democrats would elect a yellow dog. I worked for a boss one time. He told me, he said, I don't like your politics, but I like your sales. That's why I hire you, because you're a good salesman, but I hate your politics. And I was like, what? He said, you're a Republican. He said, I'm a yellow dog Democrat. And I just busted out laughing. And I said, well, what in the world does a yellow dog Democrat mean? He said, if a yellow dog ran for office, we Democrats, we're going to vote for that yellow dog. If Genghis Khan ran for office, if Hitler ran for office, they'd vote. If John Fetterman, you look at what happened in Pennsylvania, man, a cripple, a mental cripple. They voted for a mental cripple in Pennsylvania. They got no problem voting for anybody. This is what the Republicans do. And this is what's going to happen. You mark my word. I told Magdalene this. And she was, when you get a 21-year-old agreeing with you, you've hit a pretty good home run. And I told her, I said, this is what the Republicans are going to do. The DeSantis people that don't get their way, they're going to sit home and fold their arms, and they're not going to vote. And Trump's probably going to get his butt kicked. If the Trump people don't get their way, they're going to get ticked off. I'm going to sit at home. I don't trust Ron DeSantis, so I'm not going to go vote for anybody. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to have 4 more years of this crap because of stupidity on the part of the right. The Democrats, Eric, don't do that. They don't do that. We do it to ourselves because we're stupid. We're politically stupid. Excuse me for getting fired up tonight on this Tuesday. But my country is going to hell, and it's time we get some brains in our head and get out there and vote and get this country back on track. Can I say an amen to myself tonight on that one tonight?
Amen, brother. I agree 100% on that. I mean, you're absolutely right. The Democratic Party circles the wagon around the Hillary Clintons and Joe Biden's, even though Joe Biden was in the basement for how many months, and God only knows his mental conditions these days and his physical conditions. But they just circle the wagon around Joe, and they no. I haven't seen very few people from the Democratic Party come out and say we're going to run against. Except what is it, Joe Kennedy?
Joe Kennedy. That's the only thing they got. But let me tell you what you just said. You just made my point. they're willing to put an Alzheimer's patient and Kamala Harris back at the top of the ticket, Eric. They don't care. No. They don't care who's running. We're the only party. We are the party that destroys ourselves because of our petty differences and our brains that don't function on election day. And it is frustrating because I've watched this stuff. And look, I've dealt with political campaigns. Folks, politics is a nasty business. We're not going to church here on Sunday. We're not going to Sunday school on Sunday. When you're dealing with politicians, even Republican ones, you're not dealing with preachers and you're not dealing with the prim and the proper. You're going to have a past. But dadgummit, if you're going to vote smart and stop acting like a bunch of petulant children that are out there and we fold our arms. This is what we do, Eric, on election day. We do it. I've had people tell me they've done it. Well, I just didn't vote. I didn't like him. I don't care. And then look at the country. Look at where we've gone in just 2 years under this demonic administration, which is going to lead me to my next point with you.
Yeah.
They're thinking I'm screaming at them out there. I'm not screaming at them. No, I'm screaming for the country tonight because it's time that we get our brains in our heads again and stop acting like a bunch of children over this stuff. If you want to vote for Trump, vote for Trump. You want to vote for DeSantis, vote for DeSantis. I ultimately don't care. Me and Eric's going to vote for Trump. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Once we pick that candidate, buddy, you said it a while ago, we better get behind him with everything we got and forget about these primaries, and we better make sure that we don't put this Alzheimer's patient back in the White House by our apathy and by our stupidity. Am I right on that?
Amen. He's destroyed this country in what, 2+ years?
Come on, he has.
Think about what he can do for another 2 years. Like I said, the Elizabeth Warrens and all the other progressive wing of the party, and all the names, will continue to hit the drum and will continue to squeeze as much as they can out of the toothpaste until the very last day that Joe Biden, God willing, leaves office. They will take down this country. They will hurt this country very badly until the very last day of the Biden administration.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, and we know look at the LGBTQ, the abuse of children, our students in the classroom. Our rights are being abused every day. Our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, our police officers across this nation are leaving the job by the tens of thousands. And again, who's filling the ranks? We're doing a very poor. Nobody wants to be police officers these days. Nobody. I've been saying this on your show for well over a year, Chris.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. And again, but my point is, and we're going to move on after this because I'm gotten fired up and I need to calm down because I got to host the show tonight. See what you do? You bring it out in me, Kieran.
Come on, baby.
You bring out that Boston. John Matola's out there. He's laughing. He said McDonald's acting like a New Yorker tonight. That Southerners acting like a bunch of New Yorkers and like these New Englanders tonight. Let me tell you something. The Democrats will vote for that, though. What you just described, the Democrat Party will unite behind it. They don't care.
That's right.
They don't care if Joe Biden pulled his britches down and peed on the flag, Eric. He's about done that anyway. And they will coalesce. They will not break rank.
Yep.
I've talked to Democrats. They are sick to their stomach of what's going on in the country, but they've told me I'm voting for anybody other than the GOP. They don't care.
People have to put the country first.
Thank you.
And you did a great show yesterday, Chris, and I commend you for taking time out, and you had a great guest on talking about Memorial Day.
We did. William Federer.
In the history of Memorial Day.
Yes.
And the importance of the American people remembering the sacrifice of 2 million people, I think, that gave their lives since the Civil War for our freedoms, and remember that freedom is not free. And so thank you for hosting that show last night, Chris. God bless you.
Thank you, man.
And I couldn't have said it any better, is that freedom is not free. We have to put the country first.
Come on, buddy.
And put the politics aside and remember that our freedoms that has been fought for all these decades, we have to preserve those freedoms, because right now they're being trampled on.
They are, buddy. And they're, Eric, is it fair to say, because you've been in third world countries, you've seen countries where they're not free.
That's
and
right.
if we lose our freedoms now, we're not getting them back. I don't know where this idea comes from that we can lose them and we can fight to get them back later. No, you better fight now to keep them. Because once they're gone, these third world nations would die to have our freedom that we've got tonight. Them third world countries thought the same thing, and these dictators got in power. They don't get out of power unless you basically have a revolution, a civil war, or worse.
Absolutely.
Am I right about that?
Yeah. It's very much like, throughout America, we have these tolls for our bridges and our roads, and the politicians say, well, these tolls will go away after 5 years or 10 years. Once you have a tax or a toll, it never goes away.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
And so, yes, you're absolutely right. Once we lose our freedoms, our First Amendment right to free speech and a right to assemble and right to protest at abortion clinics, or our Second Amendment, our right to bear arms. Once we lose those rights, yes, you're right. You're not putting that toothpaste back in the tooth bottle anytime soon.
Come on, buddy. That's it. And I think we better realize that. Let me move on a little bit. You came back from the Congo. You saw some disturbing things again over in Africa. You are very concerned that Russia is getting her claws in Africa, and she's getting her claws in a lot of places, Eric. But again, the reason she's able to do that, we've got our eyes on everything else and our enemies. And that was another thing I mentioned to Magdalene last night, that see, this thing that's going on in our country with the nation, it's not just about the domestic powers that are watching this go on, that want to see America go down, but it's our foreign enemies as well. And they're watching this chaos that we've got. Our title of the program tonight is Chaos Continues in America. If we don't get this chaos under control, this lawlessness, buddy, we're in for a rude awakening from not just our domestic enemies, but our foreign enemies, and they're out there tonight by the droves.
Absolutely, Chris. Listen, I was a special agent for 25 years. I worked domestically, internationally, overseas in the United Arab Emirates. I worked with all the alphabetical agencies. And I can tell you, our foreign adversaries, good and bad, i.e., the Israelis or the Brits, they're all watching Joe Biden every day. The intelligence services of all foreign countries, and our adversaries watch Washington every day by the minute, and they assess how they can exploit Washington. And right now, our foreign adversaries are exploiting Joe Biden because the Biden administration, of course, is seen as weak.
Yes.
And distracted with everything else under the sun relating to, again, LGBTQ, and our First Amendments and abortion and et cetera, all these progressive ideology issues. The White House is so distracted, they're not paying any attention to what's happening around the world, very little. And they don't really care what's happening in Africa, really. They don't really care what's happening in Afghanistan. And right now, Afghanistan is a country led by a terror organization called the Taliban. And Russia have a group called the Wagner Group. It's a mercenary group. The Wagner Group is operating in dozens of countries in Africa. They're basically a military organization, tens of thousands of members, and they're in about a half a dozen plus African nations, from Sudan to Mali to Libya, and probably about 8 other countries for security purposes and paramilitary purposes, and they're exploiting their resources. And most of the Wagner group is made up of criminals.
Correct.
And they don't play by the same rules as far as war, our military engagements. They're executing and mutilating people around Africa. And so, yeah, the Biden administration is asleep. And I've said this to you before, Chris, domestically, we have over a thousand joint terrorism task force cases going on domestically involving the various alphabetical terror organizations, cells that are here in America. And there is even more in Africa. I can tell you, in Africa is swarming with training camps right now. I know there's many of them in Mozambique and as well as Tanzania and Nigeria. And we're looking at tens of thousands of terrorists throughout Africa. And, the American people, unfortunately, are so distracted. They don't remember Osama bin Laden began his career, if you will, his terror career in Sudan.
That's right, buddy. That's right.
And Bill Clinton had an opportunity to take him out, and he didn't. And he went to Afghanistan, and he planned 9/11 attacks. So, listen, there are tens of thousands of terrorists in Africa tonight, and they're involved in various criminal activities.
How did they get here, Eric? Let me stop you right there. Yeah. Tell everybody how they got here. The border. Is it the BORDER?
Chris, terrorists get here, as you know, they exploit, and I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again, they exploit trade, travel, telecommunication.
Yes, they do.
And they exploit our freedoms. And the Statue of Liberty, beautiful Statue of Liberty, says, bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. It doesn't say bring us your terrorists. But right now, we're bringing our terrorists.
No, that's right, buddy. You're right.
America. We are almost committing suicide, God forbid. But
that's right.
Because of this open border philosophy, if you will, their mantra of we welcome everybody, and yes, terrorists are coming into America via planes, trains, and automobiles. However they can get here, they will exploit our borders. Now, borders is land borders, our sea borders, shipping containers, land, sea, and air. And so we have to understand, as I've said before, Chris, we have 320 plus ports of entry. They all have to be secure because bad guys go where it's soft. And right now, our southern border is, forget it. Never mind our northern border. Who's looking at the millions of shipping containers that come into America?
Yeah.
Very few, less than probably 1.5% to 2% of shipping containers are physically opened. Yeah. So we are every night, and I've said it to you before, I say a prayer. I say a prayer when I go to bed and say, God, protect this nation, because I know firsthand how many terrorists are running around Africa. I know how many terrorists are running around America.
How is our friend Bull doing?
Thank you for asking. Bull, I take my hat off to Bull. He is, right now, he's in the U.S. In fact, he sent me a message tonight. He attended a march in Washington this week. I think it was this week. He's got it looks like almost 1,000 people. The Declaration of World Peace and Peace Walk that he spoke at in Washington. And, bottom line is Bull continues to try to get into South Sudan for free elections. And right now, unfortunately, I can tell you, he's marked for assassination
yes.
in South Sudan.
Yes.
I've met with him multiple times. I help him relating to some security issues, but he can't go into South Sudan because the president and his state security force has marked him for assassination.
We need to get him back on. We need to get y'all two back on the show. We had a great interview with y'all last year, and I've been thinking about him. And Eric, we're going to shift gears to the more domestic stuff here in a minute, but I do want to ask you again.
Yeah.
What keeps Eric Caron up at night right now? Concerned because these terrorists you're talking about in Africa. I think what people are hearing, and I know human nature is, well, he's saying all these folks are in Africa. It's no big deal. What you're trying to get across to us tonight, and I think I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what you're trying to tell us, these people in Africa that are the terrorists we think that are over there, no, they're wanting to come here and do what they're doing over there over here. Is that right?
100%, Chris.
That's what I thought.
100%.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Africa's 8,000 miles away, give or take. But as I mentioned earlier, bad guys, due to globalization is a wonderful thing. Globalization really took its foothold after the fall of the Soviet Union. The Soviets called it perestroika, and an open border, open trade, and sharing of information technology, and this free trade type of philosophy. And so the U.S. government has embraced globalization. But the bad guys embrace it too.
Yes, they do.
By exploiting trade, travel, telecommunication. And the 9/11 hijackers exploited our freedoms.
Yes, they did, buddy.
They exploited trade, travel, telecommunication. They exploited our freedoms. We're handing out licenses to illegal aliens now. Guess how many licenses the 9/11 hijackers had? Dozens of fake driver's licenses that 9/11 hijackers had. They exploited our freedoms, and so as easy as it was for the 9/11 hijackers to exploit our freedoms decades ago, do you think that terrorists around this world aren't planning to do the same thing?
Absolutely they are, Eric.
And so I can tell you, Chris, unequivocally, there are terrorists in Africa who are planning to attack us. And I don't say that lightly, but there are many terror groups in Africa. I mean, we the American people, hear about ISIS and Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda. There's 50 plus other terror organizations operating in Africa, Chris, all planning to overthrow an African nation, or worse, come to America and attack America and exploit our freedoms. And that keeps me up at night because I know what they're capable. We all know.
Yeah.
9/11 hijackers were capable of doing.
Without a doubt. There was just 11 of those, buddy.
That's right.
It wasn't many. It wasn't many. It was just 11.
And so the time is on their hands. Many of us will sit back tonight and say, well, it's been X amount of years since a major U.S. attack. Yeah, you bet. They have nothing but time on their hands in Africa and many of these third world countries. They have nothing but time to what? To plan, prepare, and execute.
Yeah. I got to, we're going to change gears a little bit here. I want to just say it to my audience tonight. By the way, I wasn't screaming and scolding y'all like you may think I was. I was just getting John Mottola fired up out there. John's our Yankee. I met John in Brooklyn, and he was telling me back in April when he was up there, he said, I love Trump. He said, we Yankees, we can handle Trump. We New Englanders can, see, they can handle the Mac man too. But it just frustrates me the way people act about this political stuff. And it makes no sense to me why we take our toys and go home and let the country go to hell when we do. And it just, it don't make, it's never made any sense to me, but people do. They don't want to admit they do, but that's what they do. But anyway, you're watching a very special McFiles tonight with the bald-headed Eric Caron and the gray-headed Christopher McDonald, who I will not exchange hair color with Caron. I still got you. I thought that the Christmas gifts I've got you for the last 3 years, this hair growth stuff would have started working, but dadgummit, I'm going to have to change my Christmas strategies for you this year. Hey, I do want to change gears. I want to talk to you about something that happened today, and I don't know if people saw it. Christopher Wray, the FBI director, is now going to be held in contempt. He basically put his middle finger up to Congress. They've been trying to get these classified documents about the Hunter Biden laptop, and they're basically telling Congress to go blank yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get your opinion. You're a federal agent. You've dealt with the FBI. Do you think there's a prayer in hell that we're going to see the light of day with this? Is Wray going to be forced? Do you think that he's just going to hold out thinking nothing's going to happen to him? But what's your thoughts on that? Because to me, it was a big deal that Comer said tonight he's held in contempt. But being in contempt of Congress don't mean a lot. And I mean, I don't expect not much, but it is the key, Eric, to a lot of things. Because I believe what you have said to me also, many shows in a row, that you got nothing but a Biden crime family running the country. Starts with Joe, but it does start with Joe Jr., Mr. Hunter. And that laptop has got more information on it than anything that we probably would want to know. And some of this stuff we may not want to know what's on that laptop. That's just my opinion. But it starts at the top of the FBI. They hold the key, and they're basically stonewalling tonight, and it's going to be interesting what Congress does tomorrow. Anything going to come of this?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I've been calling for a colonoscopy of the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Justice for last year? I mean, really. It's unfortunate because, yes, the rank and file guys and girls are hardworking, dedicating their lives to protect America. Unfortunately, it's been, at the very top, it's been politicized.
Yes, it has.
At the very top of DOJ, the very top of the CIA, at the very top of the FBI, it's been weaponized and used as a weapon by the Biden family and by Obama. So it's unfortunate. So yes, we need a thorough cleansing, a colonoscopy of those agencies. Again, the elephant in the room, really, the Biden crime family, we know Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and others of the Biden part of the Biden organized crime family are all involved in dirty activities.
Yes.
Why haven't they been prosecuted? And the answer is, and I've said it to you before, Chris, is that the CIA is at the center of all of this.
Tell me how they're at the center.
So, I know I've talked to you about this before, Chris, but DOJ. So, listen, DOJ, before they indict somebody, they try the case internally. Are we going to be able to win or lose? You can indict a ham sandwich, right? As they say. It's easy to indict anybody. I've done it. So, but they want to prevail at trial. So, they get together around the table and say, listen, we want to bring a case against X, but X is a source for the CIA.
Okay.
It makes it very dirty. It makes it very dirty relating to national security and prosecuting somebody. So Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were operating, my educated guess, for the CIA.
Okay.
And this makes it very dirty. So, yeah, I see you want to ask a question.
I do, but I want to say something. I want to interrupt you there. We already know this. The question that I guarantee you is running through this chat room, and it's running through my mind. It runs through my mind every day. What's going to be done about it?
Nothing.
That was where I was going. And I don't believe nothing's going to be done about it. And that's what's frustrating us out here, Eric. And I feel the frustration. Look, I'm not upset with these folks that are upset with DeSantis and all in Trump, and some are all in Trump and not in DeSantis, and vice versa. Preference is preference. But beyond the politics of it, you got a lawless country.
Yeah.
You got two sets of justice. You got basically a two-tier justice system, really a three.
Mm-hmm.
And the frustration that runs through this McFiles family, I feel it with them. And I do feel this.
I feel it.
We're ticked off and we're tired to know that if me and you and they did the stuff that these freaking dirty, demonic politicians did, if we did a tenth of it,
absolutely,
you know what would be happening tonight? I would be having bars on this. When you see this little box I got there, I'd be doing the jailhouse version of the McFiles.
Yeah.
I'd be calling you on that 25-cent, $2 an hour. Yeah, I'd be with my orange. This wouldn't be no patriotic shirt. It'd be an orange or a white jumpsuit with McDonald phoning in Eric Caron on the McFiles tonight from the jailhouse.
Absolutely.
Is that not right?
100%.
And see, that's what they feel, and I feel it. Because Hunter Biden and Joe Biden should have been in prison a long time ago. Barack Obama should have been in prison a long time ago. Hillary Clinton, all of them.
Yep.
All of them. McCabe,
Yes.
Comey,
Yes.
Lisa Page, Peter Strzok,
Yes.
all of them
Yes.
should be in jail tonight.
Yes.
Clapper, Brennan, all of them. You know what they're doing? They're mocking all of us. Eric, what was Obama's Attorney General? I can't even think of his name. Holder is mocking us, making fun of us, tweeting their nonsense out. Let me tell you something, brother. If that don't get stopped, it don't matter who we elect. Because whoever gets in that office, what I'm looking for them to do, number one is protect life, but number two is restore the freaking rule of law to this country and put people in jail that deserve to go to jail and stop making it a political issue. It is a law enforcement issue. It is a justice issue, not a revenge issue. And let me make it clear, we're not out for revenge. Because if the right is out for revenge, we're no better than the left.
Sure.
I'm out for justice. I want justice. That's what I want, Eric. And we had better have that restored soon or we're going to lose. This country's gone.
I agree. You know, they're going to hide. I can tell you, Chris, what Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and others, very well likely, in Clapper, they're all going to hide behind national security.
Oh, without a doubt.
They're going to say, we were working for America. We were trying to help America. And, you know, we can't disclose sources and methods. We can't, you can't indict us. You can't charge us with a crime, Department of Justice, because we were actually working on behalf of the CIA and protecting America. And so the Department of Justice says, well, if I take this case to trial, how are we going to prove this? They're saying their defense is going to be the CIA defense. I can tell you all day long, Chris.
But Derek, that is why the frustration is growing in this country, because we see all that play out.
The new administration.
We do. We see that. I don't disagree with the word you say. You're square on. But the bigger question, nobody can answer for us. You can't answer it. I can't answer it. Nobody can answer it. And I hate to say this. People ain't going to like it. I think it was one of Trump's biggest failures. Of all the things that he should have fixed, he did not fix this. And this ultimately bothered me more than anything else that he did fix. And I think he did a lot of wonderful things for our country. He's a great president.
Yeah.
But when you don't clean the swamp out of the justice system, and you put two incompetent attorney generals in power, he did that. Nobody else did that. Trump did that. You got problems. And we're paying a price for it tonight. And he's paying a price for it tonight. And, buddy, I'm going to tell you something.
Listen, again, Chris, the Department of Justice, of course, the Attorney General is important. 100%. He's the top law enforcement in America.
Absolutely.
But what's even more important, Chris, is who you put in the chair at the CIA.
That's correct.
Chris, listen to me very carefully. The CIA runs, for the most part, the country. It's not the Department of Justice.
It's an interesting point.
I'm telling you.
That's an interesting point.
Clear as the makeup is on my face tonight. The CIA runs the country. And so Joe Biden, I'm sorry, the next president, God willing, it's a Donald Trump. Whoever he puts in Langley, and I spent 6 months in Langley investigating the CIA for obstruction of justice under Bill Clinton. Okay, so I know a little bit about the CIA and how they operate.
Yeah.
There's probably, I'm going to guesstimate, 50,000 employees of the CIA. Good guesstimate. And there's clandestine, there's overt, covert operators all over this country and all over this world. Thousands of corporations working hand in glove, and the Department of Justice, for the most part, will not touch the CIA. For the most part.
That's a dangerous thing to know, though. That's
I'm
something
just
that's
telling
dangerous.
You straight up, and it's the truth, and so I think Donald Trump probably understands this now more than ever. It's not the FBI, as corrupt as their higher ups are, and it's not the Department of Justice so much. It's the CIA runs the show. They are the director. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Good stuff. Listen, I want to, we got about 10 minutes, so we're going to take a few questions here for you tonight. You ain't got to go to bed, do you? I mean, you're not like got a warm glass of milk and cookies that you're going to fall asleep on me on the show or anything. I just want to make sure.
Not tonight.
You took your Geritol before you came on, right? I just want to make sure. Now, I won't give you a secret about the wheelchair, me having to roll you around in a wheelchair when I was at your house last year. But anyway, no, seriously. Listen, this is a very, I'm making light of something, but this is very serious what I'm about to ask you, and it ties into something we're talking about tonight. Buddy, look, you know me. I'm a man of faith. I don't judge a soul. I believe right is right, wrong is wrong. I know what the Bible says about these things. I know what the Lord says about certain things that are right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And I believe that God made two genders, male and female. I've never seen a more graphic onslaught. And before I get to that, I do want you to mention something about Guam. They had a typhoon. I almost forgot this, and I don't want to forget this and go, because I want to deal with this last section about this transgender push, but I want to go back to something to let you talk about this. It's interesting tonight that Uganda, and it sort of goes with this topic. I might as well go ahead and say what I'm going to say. God made two genders, male and female. Uganda tonight outlawed that kind of lifestyle and basically said they're not going to put up with this nonsense in their country. Joe Biden's administration condemned Uganda tonight for doing it. At the same time, you've got a super typhoon that just went through Guam. Your boy is there serving our country. There has been absolutely no extension of aid to our military in Guam tonight, and no help to that nation that needs our help deeply. But yet we've got the time to condemn an African country that really has more common sense than we do, and saying that these things are illegal. One thing I will give Ron DeSantis kudos for, and people need to understand this. We've got a great guest coming on Thursday night. I'm not going to give her name just yet because I don't want the devil to get out there ahead of it. But she is in the middle of a fight of parents that are being told by school systems, we will tell your children what gender they are. You will not do that, or we will take your kids away from you. Other countries, Eric, of the world are not putting up with that nonsense. People are being executed for doing stuff like that. Now, I know this sounds a little harsh in this good old-fashioned civilized USA. Let me tell you something. The way I look at it, it is a criminal offense. It is pedophilia beyond words. It is child abuse that a transgender, a male, who thinks he's a female or a female who thinks he's a male to be telling my grandkids and to be telling your kids and any kid under the age of 18 that it's okay for you to cut your private parts off. It's okay for you to mutilate your genitalia. It's okay for you to be confused about whether you're a boy or a girl. And don't listen to your mom and daddy. And see what I told this lady tonight. And I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah.
The people that are doing that to kids are being lauded as heroes. Companies that are doing that are being lauded as heroes. The people that are being considered child abusers are the parents who are standing up against it. Let me look into this camera on this McFiles Tuesday night. I don't think McDonald has been in one of these moods in a long time. That's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. It is demonic beyond words. And I'm going to tell this transgender bunch, you're going to keep doing this crap to our kids. And there's a group of people in this country, and we're not coming at you physically. We're not making any kind of threats to you physically. But that's going to stop. That is going to stop because parents are catching on to the gig and your schemes. And you're going to be rooted out of our school systems and our school boards. And Eric, if we don't get a hold of this, we're going to lose this empire called America. No empire of the past, no empire of any type, Rome, Greece, Persia, none of them survived pedophilia. And we're practicing it and we're promoting it. It's in our sports. It's in our churches. It is in our schools. It's in our government. You've got one of the administration confused about his gender, as perverse as that is. We've got leadership that is promoting it, and they're condemning an African country for it while not sending aid to another nation that needs it tonight simply because we've got more military there probably than anywhere in the world. What say you?
I mean, we forget Guam is part of the USA.
Yes.
And so, yes, I mean, Uganda has outlawed LGBTQ and has said there will be a death penalty for people who abuse children.
Yes, death penalties
in Uganda. And the Biden administration, within the last 24 hours, has come out and condemned Uganda. In addition, Japan has also is not getting on board, if you will, with the White House and Joe Biden. And you had the ambassador, our U.S. ambassador in Japan, calling for the Japanese government to invoke and pass laws relating to the rights of LGBTQ plus whatever. And because the Japanese government is refusing to play nice with the Biden administration relating to the LGBTQ. So you have many countries saying, listen, we don't believe in this philosophy relating to LGBTQ, and please stay out of our affairs.
Ain't that terrible? Is that just not perverse to you, though? That's a perverse government. That's not just a corrupt government, Eric. That's a perverse government that we have over us tonight.
And very few people know that in the last week, a major, typhoon has hit Guam, 50 miles an hour wind, destroyed the island as far as communications concerned. Thankfully, minor injuries. I don't know of any deaths. But where's Washington? I haven't heard a peep from Washington relating to providing assistance or aid to Guam, which is essentially a state of ours, of America, part of America. That's a territory. But I bet you very few people in your audience has heard of Guam and the fact that a typhoon hit Guam in the last. The media ain't talked about it. I know it because I saw the headlines. But you're right. The media in America has been quiet. But I guarantee you this thing in Uganda will get pressed tomorrow. You watch what I tell you. They'll get press about what Uganda's doing, and it will be portrayed as being evil. But I want to tell you this. I've been to Uganda. That's when I went. The only time I've been overseas was 1994 to Uganda, Kampala, and went to Nairobi, Kenya. And the government has gone through a lot of changes. That's been over 30 years ago now.
But I will tell you this, I salute Uganda, Eric. I think we need to bring that here. I think it should be a death penalty crime to abuse a child, to basically sexually molest a child. Yes. It is a death penalty. And I'm going to just go a little bit further. It's a felony to me. It is a criminal offense that is a minimum of 10 to 20 years in prison for you as a pedophile or a transgender to teach that theology and ideology to our kids. That is child abuse to me. It's nothing but rank child abuse. It is pedophilia. It is no different than a Catholic priest or a Protestant priest or a Protestant minister sexually sodomizing a boy. And it's the same thing because, Eric, they're doing it spiritually to these kids. They're sodomizing these kids spiritually.
You're attacking their brain.
Thank you. Thank you.
Their mind.
Thank you.
You may not be sodomizing them, but you're sodomizing their brains, and you're confusing the hell out of a 10-year-old, and he's going to be or she's going to be in counseling for the next 30 years, and when she's 30 or 40 years old, he or she commits suicide.
That is exactly right.
He or she
that
is
is exactly right.
Never mind some of these people who are on various drugs commit acts of violence, and so this is terrible for America. This is nothing but suicidal activity by the Progressive Party, the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party's been hijacked, and now it's the Democrat Socialist Party of America. And Chris,
but let me interrupt you real quick. One quick point. I'm gonna let you finish that. I'm gonna finish that thought, but I want to interject this right here.
Yeah.
The silence of the Republicans has made it worse. The silence of the people that do know better, Eric. We do know this. Me and you are not being silent about it tonight. But there's a great number of people out there that are keeping their mouth shut about this. They don't want to say nothing because they're afraid you're going to offend somebody. I could give 2 bit pins less who this is offending tonight. Because I'm going to tell you something. I got 2 grandyoungins and another one on the way. Chris McDonald will be damned if they are going to be exposed to this stuff. Look, I salute my son tonight for homeschooling his kids. He's going to make a sacrifice. Him and Alyssa are going to make a sacrifice to homeschool them youngins. But if they didn't homeschool that youngin, those children should not be exposed to this stuff in public school. And this piece of crap teacher that was out there just last week and told parents, literally in a video, that you've got no right to your children if you have them in public school. I beg to differ with her. You try to tell me that to my face, that I got no right to tell you what not to say to my kid in the classroom. You're not there to be their gender specialist. You're not there to be their sex teacher. You're not there to teach them about the birds and the freaking bees. You're not there to tell my daughter that she's a male. You're not there to tell this male that he's a female. You're not there to tell a 5-year-old that it's okay to cut your thing off. That's not what you're called to do. You're called to teach, and to teach them to read and to write and to arithmetic. And if you start going beyond that, Eric, you have entered into a realm that is not your place. It is the parents' place to do that. And let me tell you something. I don't care what public or private school. And I was told today by this dear lady that's coming on the show Thursday night, you better watch the private schools, because this same influence that has influenced the public schools is getting into the private schools. And the only safe haven right now is for these kids at the house. And that's where it's safe. But I'm going to tell this bunch of teachers out there, you better be glad my kids are grown and gone. Because if I heard you teaching my bunch this, you'd be visiting me at the whatever.
The popo.
The popo. But I'd be upset. I'd be a YouTube sensation. Because I would be one of these raising hell at a school board every night. Because I'd be down there, somebody's backside would be in my briefcase. Because you're not going to teach my kids and you're not going to teach my grandkids that. And it's not being homophobic.
I think this, and I'm sure many people in the audience have already heard this, but I just want to share is that I have somebody close to me in my family who works at a high school in the area. And this has been going on now for the last several years. Students go to school on a Friday, and the student is Michael, and Michael shows up to school on Monday, and now Michael is Michelle, and you have to call him
Yes.
Michelle now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Instead of the school providing counseling and assistance for the 16-year-old, everybody coalesces around the person and says, isn't that wonderful that Michael's now Michelle, and we have to honor that person.
No, we don't.
For the courage of him coming out as her.
No, we don't.
But that's what's happening in our schools in America, is that kids go to school one day as Michelle, and next day it's Michael, and the next day it's back to Michelle. Instead of getting them assistance and psychological help and counseling, because yes, life is hard and can be confusing for many of us. In fact, probably all of us. Instead of talking to the 16-year-old and seeking assistance, professional assistance and counseling, we think it's perfectly fine that Michelle is now a Michael, and it's wrong.
It's more than wrong. But anyway. Buddy, look, good stuff tonight. I wish we had more time. We ran out of time. I'm going to go ahead.
Just say one
go ahead.
thing,
Keep going.
brother?
Yeah. Keep going.
Brother, listen, I know we've talked many times, and give me 1 minute. We've talked many times about policing in America.
Yes. Go ahead.
And the fact of the matter is that, of course, policing has changed in America because the Democratic Party has hijacked and deballed policing in America.
That's right, buddy. That's a great word. That's a great word.
In 2000, let me just give you some numbers, Chris, because right now across America, there's very little policing going on because police departments at the local and state level, as well as the federal, but local, especially state, are being hijacked by the Department of Justice. They call it consent decree. And so the federal government, the Department of Justice, goes to Seattle, Chicago, and says, you have a pattern and practice of discriminating against minorities. And so we will take over your police department. We will manage your police departments. And anybody out there can Google this, please. Consent decrees.
Yes.
And there are probably a dozen of them, and they're growing by the day across America. Okay? So Department of Justice says, we will manage your local police departments now because there's a pattern and practice of discrimination. Do I still got you?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And so let me just say so that's all BS because there's not a pattern and practice of police discrimination across America. Let me just give you these numbers. In 2020, 98% of the shootings by police officers that resulted in homicide, in killings, murders, not murders, but killings, 98% of them were good shootings, 98%.
Yes.
300 blacks were killed in 2020 by police officers, 300. 530 whites, 270 others like Hispanics and other nationalities. So 300 blacks, 530 whites, 270 other minorities in 2020. 98% of those shootings were good shootings by police officers. 11 of those were bad for whites. For bad. 11 for whites, 6 for blacks, and 5 for the other minorities. So I guess at the end of the day, let me just say this. This BS that police officers in America are racist and are gunning down blacks or other minorities is a bunch of you-know-what, bull. And it's destroying policing in America that we're allowing the Department of Injustice to take over some of these police departments. It's called consent decrees.
Right.
They're destroying policing in America. Joe Biden's destroying policing. And it's only hurting the Chicago people,
Right.
the Seattle people, the good people, the good minorities, because everybody else is leaving, as you know, Chicago, Seattle, New York. And so I just wanted to put these numbers out there that, yes, 98% of police shootings that resulted in homicides or killings of bad guys, 98% in 2020 were good shoots.
Yes, I don't doubt that. But it's been good stuff. We've ran out of time. We're not going to have time to take questions tonight. But I do want to just say thank you. Listen, you're headed back to Africa in a few weeks. I want you to be safe. Tell Bowl. I want to get y'all together. Either when you get back, I'm going to take a little break next week. So when you get back, we'll be back about the same time. And I want you to come on the show with him, and let's get an update on Sudan. Eric, it's just a troubling situation right now in our nation. I get a little fired up about it. Look, I'm fighting for these kids, man. One thing, if you watched the show last night and people watched William Federer, he basically put it on the line to all of us that if we are silent in the face of this evil, we're just as complicit as anything these people are doing. And McDonald ain't gonna be silent. I'm sorry. There's just too much of the late Margie Turnage McDonald in me and the late Wayne McDonald in me. I ain't gonna be silent. I may go down. They may yank this channel down again. I've lost 3 before. You know, we had somebody ask a question here one night. Well, why is your channel still up while others have been taken down? Well, I got news for you, honey. Our channel has been taken down 3 freaking times. We lost over 100,000 subscribers. Wow. So we understand every night we come on here that when we open our mouth, it's probably likely we're on a death sentence. We don't know what's going to happen. Yep. But I would rather lose a channel and have to rebuild this thing from scratch again than to keep this mouth shut. I ain't going to do it. I got too much of a responsibility. I don't know you're not staying solid either. And I appreciate you for not staying solid.
I've lost jobs. I've lost corporate jobs because of, my beliefs. And you know what? So be it. Yeah, that's right. You're switched on. Remember, Switched On Life. Switched On Life. The book is there. The audio book is on Amazon. And it's a great inspirational story for everybody to read, and especially first responders.
Are you still offering the flashlight with the book?
You know what? I ran out of them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty cool flashlight. It's actually helped me read at night because I'm getting old. I can't see, so I gotta stick it on my ear like that, and read like that. You probably believe that, don't you? Hey, listen, buddy, good stuff tonight. I'm gonna say goodnight to these folks real quick because it's getting late. Listen, stay safe in Africa. Keep fighting. Keep fighting the fight. You're very much appreciated by me. See you soon. Hopefully, when you get back, I'll be back up that way. Hopefully in a few months. And listen, God bless you. Thank you so much, Eric here and everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. I will be in touch with you, and we will have this show again. We'll do this again, but do get a hold of Ball for me, and we'll set something up maybe in a few weeks. Okay.
I will, sir. I'll tell him to get in touch with it.
Eric Caron, everybody. SwitchedOnLife.com. Thank you, my friend. Be blessed.
Thank you,
Good deal.
Out.
Peace out. Good stuff tonight. I'm not going to keep you long after this. I've just got a few comments that I want to come over here and say before I say goodnight tonight. Woo! Boom! There he is. There he is tonight. Did you enjoy Eric Caron tonight? I sure did. And what a good guy right there. And I appreciate him so much. And we hope that you enjoyed the Tuesday night McFiles on Fire show. Oh, Switched On Life, baby. Switched On. SwitchedOn.com. I got the keychain to prove it. I got the flashlight to prove it. So, anyway. All righty. Listen, I do want to say this tonight. Thank you all for being a good audience. I'm not scolding any of you. Folks, I don't care ultimately who you vote for. It's your choice when you go in that voting booth who you vote for. I've got reasons why I'm voting for Trump, and I'm staying with Trump. But if you want to vote for DeSantis, go for it. If you don't want to vote for DeSantis, it's fine. But folks, don't be disparaging either candidate, because both candidates have their issues. My point is that we need to coalesce behind whoever it is come next year and stop this petty anti-fighting and all this name calling. It's not going to help us, folks. And, you know, we can die on a molehill and lose the country, or we can fight for the country. And you've heard me say it. You know, when the U.S. hockey team won in 1980, they had USA on the front and their names on the back. The name on the front is a heck of a lot more important tonight than the name on the back. And when it comes to that voting booth, when we go into that voting booth, we're voting for the name on the front. Ultimately, that's who we need to be voting for, not necessarily the name on the back. Because the name on the back, none of them are perfect. And all of them have got their fleas, and all of them have got their issues, and all of them are going to disappoint you in some area. But you better start thinking, and you better start concerning yourself with the name on the front of the jersey. Or you're not going to have the name on the front of the jersey. You're not going to even have the jersey, neighbor. They're going to take it from you. And they're going to take every right you've got and every right I've got. And I'm just telling you that tonight for your own sake and for some good old-fashioned McFile friendly advice, of which many people are immune to, but that's okay. I'm going to keep giving it because it is the McFiles. And I enjoy running my mouth every night just for you. Just for you. I know John Mottola. I can just see John Mottola right now. He's giving me a standing ovation tonight. He likes this Southern fire. He tells me that. He says, "That's why I like you, Chris. You're just like us Yankees." So, the South and the North can get along. But anyway. All right, now, I've got a lot more to say, but it's late. I'm not going to say it tonight. Got to get out of here tonight. Tomorrow, McFiles Faith Network. We'll see you in the morning. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night Faith Fellowship. Don't think we're going to have a guest Wednesday night. It may change. Thursday night, I'm going to be in studio all day Thursday, so it'll be a late show. Hopefully not too late when we get back. But we're going to be having a brand new special guest. Her name is January Smith Littlejohn. And she is part of the, she's a parent advocate. And I can't remember the name of the organization she's with. We interviewed her today. We recorded it. She can't go live with us tomorrow night, but she's coming back. She promised in a few weeks we're going to have her on live. But you do not want to miss this interview Thursday night. If you are a parent and your child is in public school, you need to hear this interview. If you're a grandparent and you've got grandkids in public school, you need to hear this interview of the forces that are coming at your children. We will have a show Friday night, and then the weekend we'll have Sunday, and then we're going to take a break next week. We will probably have a replay show or the here or there next week, but everything will be replay. I won't be here. There's just a time that I'm not going to, if I don't take the week after or the week after that, I'm not going to have a week with the way the summer's playing out. So I'm going to take a few days off, but I'll still be with you in spirit, still be with you here through the shows. You won't see no Bible studies that week and no special shows, but it'll just be replay shows. But I want you to hang in there with me this week. We got this guest. And then the week after, though, which would be June the 12th, Arthur Rice and his beautiful wife, Tammy, dear friends of mine, they're going to be with us on Monday night. We're going to have another new guest, Daniel Lee, coming up June the 21st. You don't want to miss Daniel. We've got some other new guests coming. And we want you to be with us because we've got a lot to say about this transgender agenda and other things that are happening. I will say this before I close tonight, folks. The sports, I talked to Suzanne May tonight, or this afternoon, and she's praying about coming on the show. Her son actually plays for the Dodgers, and we're going to talk about this onslaught of hell against the sporting world. My Braves, they're going to have a gay pride night in June, and it just makes me not want to put a dime in the sports ever again. because I'm not going to support it. I'm just not going to support it. And Kohl's has gone crazy. Target's gone crazy. Bud Light's gone crazy. Not that I drink beer, because I don't. The sporting world's gone crazy. They've gone insane. They've gone demonic. And January Smith Littlejohn, she's actually from Tallahassee. And I grew up in Tallahassee. And it was very nice meeting her, and she's going to do a great job. This interview was mind-blowing today, and you don't want to miss it. Thursday night, probably around 9:30. We'll be a little late getting back from the studio, but please be with us then. And Friday night, we've got a special guest coming too. So listen, we still got some shows this week. Be with us tomorrow night for the Faith. We may have a surprise guest tomorrow evening. Not sure about that yet, but we'll see. But until then, and still in the morning, McDonald out on this Wednesday night. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed Eric Caron. I appreciate you guys, and just remember, folks, we love you. If we're a little animated, it ain't that we're screaming at you. I'm screaming for you. I'm screaming for you, and I'm screaming for my country. I'm screaming for my grandkids, ultimately, and screaming for those I love. And I love you all. I really do, and I appreciate you much. Keep up the fight out there, and stop tomorrow at some point. Thank God for your country. Pray for your country. Pray for each other. Love each other. And do not be silent during this time. In our silence, we perish. As Mordecai told Esther, if you remain silent, you and the kingdom will perish. And we've been called for such a time as this not to be silent, but to fight for what's right and what's godly in this country. And I'll limit myself on that tonight. Until tomorrow morning on the Faith Network, McDonald out on this Tuesday night, the 30th day of May. We do appreciate you being with us tonight. Have a good one. Good night, everybody.